1787, Catherine the Great was preparing to tour Crimea. Her advisor, Gregory Potemkin, had been assuring her that the region was thriving, full of prosperous villages and happy peasants. But in reality, it wasn't. But instead of admitting he may have exaggerated, he decided to stage the entire thing. So as Catherine travelled down the Dnieper River, she saw picturesque villages along the riverbanks and everything appeared successful. But as soon as her boat passed, Gregory's team would pack everything up and rush ahead to build the same fake village further down. And Catherine believed it. Potemkin village is a phrase now used to describe something that looks impressive on the surface but isn't quite what it seems. In the late 18th century, humans were experimenting with parachutes, but to avoid the risk of testing on themselves, they used animals instead. People were literally strapping tiny parachutes to cats and dogs and dropping them from height to see what would happen. When some animals survived, this helped prove parachutes could work on humans. In 1898, the world's first escalator was installed at Harrods department store. People genuinely thought the experience might be too much for the human body. So once terrified customers reached the top, men were handed brandy and women were given smelling salts for if they fainted. During the Great Depression, many families were struggling to survive, so when dance marathons appeared offering cash prizes, people signed up in droves. The initial idea was that couples would compete to see who could dance the longest, but as crowds grew, people were eating, bathing, and even sleeping all whilst dancing, and judges would hit you if you weren't dancing hard enough. People started collapsing and hallucinating from the fatigue, but crowds continued to pay to watch people suffer. After one man died and another attempted suicide in a psychosis, public opinion began to shift and laws were introduced to shut them down.
I tried to light a fire, but ended up burning down the entire forest, so you'd better do it.
Ivan, you've dragged your bloody boots all through the house again.
Fine, I just won't raid and pillage at all then. Happy? Do you like my new dress? Cover your ankles at once, madame. You cannot be too careful with the imaginations of men at court. The ship's going to sink. Feel that? She's listing.
Stop it, you're scaring me.
God, woman, won't you take a joke? Carry on like that, we'll have to send you to the asylum.
Why are you checking my location again?
I just want to know that you're safe. And why you stopped here for 6 minutes. 6 minutes is a long time, you know.
What, is there another me in the kitchen?
Picked up a clone on the way home from work.
What?
Well, if you weren't always in a mood, I wouldn't have needed to go and get one, would I?
In 1911, Violet Jessop was working as a stewardess aboard the RMS Olympic when it collided with a British warship. Although the damage was severe, the ship managed to stay afloat and return to port. But a year later, Violet was assigned to the RMS Titanic. On April 14th, 1912, Titanic struck an iceberg. As a crew member, Violet helped passengers board lifeboats before eventually being ordered into one herself. According to her memoirs, an officer handed her a baby just before the lifeboat was lowered away from the ship. She was one of the 706 people to survive. Then, 4 years later, Violet was working as a nurse aboard HMHS Britannic, which hit a German mine and began sinking rapidly. This time, the disaster was even more dramatic for Violet. Some lifeboats were sucked into the still spinning propellers, so Violet jumped from her lifeboat into the sea to avoid being pulled into them. But Violet survived for the third time, earning her the nickname Miss Unsinkable. When wealthy lawyer Charles Vance Miller died in 1926, he ordered that his fortune be awarded to whichever Toronto mother gave birth to the most children during the next decade. The prize was worth the equivalent of millions today, so women across the city were in fierce competition to win it. For the next 10 years, newspapers followed the contest obsessively, and the leading mothers became local celebrities. As the competition went on, courts were forced to decide bizarre questions like, do stillbirths count? Or what about children born outside of marriage? After 10 years of public fascination and legal battles, 4 women tied first place with 9 children each, and the fortune was split between them.